Hello and welcome to highlights of the 1993 Italian Grand Prix, brought to you by Mircoprose and GP2Joey. We're in Italy this weekend for the 13th round of this dramatic and exciting season, and that means Monza, and with no chicanes, this is Formula One's fastest, most terrifying circuit of them all. Ayrton Senna made it 2 wins from 2 starts last time out in Belgium after another dominating drive in the Williams-Renault, but the favourites this weekend are Ferrari, whose V12 engine should be enough to have the field covered on this power track, as their drivers Joey Davies and Gerhard Berger look to please the fervent Ferrari faithful. In the Drivers' Championship, Senna now leads by 10 points over Davies, who scored no points in Spa 2 weeks ago, with Damon Hill still very much in the hunt, only 1 point adrift in third. Meantime, the battle over fifth remains interesting between Ligier-Boss Alain Prost and Benetton's Michael Schumacher, whilst over sixth place there is a three-way battle between Schumacher's teammate Martin Brundle, Prost's teammate Jean Alesi and Berger. Williams are still comfortably leading the Constructors' Championship and could win the title this weekend if Ferrari endure another poor race, while Ligier-Prost now move 14 points clear of Benetton in third, with McLaren and Sauber locked in battle over fifth. As ever, the run-up to the Italian Grand Prix saw the heat in the F1 silly season rise to near boiling point, and in the news leading up to the race, McLaren confirmed they would be running customer Ford engines in 1994. The FIA then summoned Davies to appear in Paris to answer charges of misconduct after punching Sauber's Carl Wendlinger following their clash during the Belgian Grand Prix, which shockingly resulted in a one-race ban for the Englishman, which the 1991 champ declared he was to immediately appeal before the Monza weekend. Brundle was then understood to be nearing a deal with Ferrari, which moved a step closer to reality after defending champ Nigel Mansell announced he would not return to the Scuderia after turning down a massive £10 million deal. Benetton then announced Brundle would be leaving the team at the end of the year, before racing legend Mario Andretti confirmed he had signed Gilles de Ferran to partner son Michael in the Andretti Lotus team for next year. Ferrari continued to deny rumours Berger had been given his marching orders, as rumours also grew Tyrrell's Heinz-Harald Frentzen had been approached by the Scuderia after some strong drives this year. Sensational news then broke that under appeal, Davies' ban had been lifted and he was given a back of the grid penalty for Monza, and at least he could continue his title battle with Senna. As usual, Friday morning's pre-qualifying session was electric, as the 12 drivers fought it out to get an optimum set up as quickly as they could. Whilst the Pacific of Mika Salo looked strong, the team's power deficit became apparent as they struggled against their rivals who have more powerful engines, and in the end it was the LaRousse of Eric Bernard who was fastest, ahead of Core Ursa and teammate Philippe Alliot, with the French outfit being joined into the race weekend by Brabham and Zakspeed, whilst the rest were forced to head home early. With over 130,000 fans crammed into Monza, Friday afternoon's first qualifying session saw Alesi go fastest early on, before the grandstands erupted as Davies then went quicker still in the Ferrari. In the end though, it was Senna who claimed provisional pole, ahead of Berger, who impressed for once in second, ahead of Prost, Hill and the other two Ilmor Saubers of Wendlinger and JJ Leto, with Alesi splitting the pair. Senna then declared he was worried about the threat of Ferrari, and in particular Berger, whilst the Austrian admitted he hoped to have done enough to keep his seat with the team into next year. Prost, meanwhile, remained focused on eking out as much speed from his car the following day, before Senna then expressed his anger at the dangers presented by a chicaneless Monza, expressing his hope that the high speeds would not lead to a nasty accident for someone. Saturday's final qualifying session was held in hot conditions, with many of the top drivers failing to better their times from the previous day, including Senna, who struggled for grip in the Lesmos and the final corner Parabolica. There was no such problem for Prost, who did manage to improve, albeit to remain an eventual third in the end, and wheeled on by the crowd. Berger tried in vain to better Senna's time, but ultimately it was the Brazilian who held on to claim his 7th pole of the year, with Hill and Alesi only 3/10 further back in 4th and 5th. Undoubtedly though, the stars of qualifying were the two Saubers of Wendlinger and Leto, claiming a fine 6th and 7th ahead of both Benettons and both McLarens. Afterwards, Senna admitted he was happy with the pole, but reiterated his concern over safety on the high-speed circuit. Berger was pleased with his own performance and hoped it would be enough to keep his seat for next year, whilst Prost backed Senna's concerns around the track safety, and Davies claimed he could still win from the back of the grid. At 5 p.m, It was then confirmed that Berger had done enough to retain his seat at Ferrari next year alongside Davis, and while for Brundle the snub was a tough one to take, the Briton confirmed he still had plenty of options still for 1994. So it's Senna and Berger on the front row, with Alain Prost and Damon Hill on row 2. Row 3 is Alesi and Carl Wendlinger. Row 4 is JJ Leto and Martin Brundle. Row 5 is Schumacher and Mika Häkkinen. Row 6 is Michael Andretti and Eric Bernard. Row 7 is Frentzen and Cor Ursa. Row 8 is Suzuki and Mark Blundell. Row 9 is Derek Warwick and Nakajima. Row 10 is Alio and Rubens Barrichello. Row 11 is Zanardi and Herbert. Row 12 is Martini and Irvine. And at the back it's Fittipaldi and Joey Davis. As we get ready for the start, the red lights come on, the engine revs rise, and it's go, go, go! Senna gets a little bit of wheel spin away from pole. Berger's not off to a good start, but look at that! That's Hill! Hill's up to second place from fourth on the grid. Prost is into third, and Wendlinger looks like he's going to try and make a move on the inside in the Sauber as they go thundering into Curva Grande for the first time. Hill's alongside Senna. He's alongside Senna and he's through. So Damon Hill from fourth on the grid goes to third, to second, to first. Fantastic stuff. Senna drops into place behind his Williams-Renault teammate. It's Berger in third, it's Prost fourth, Wendlinger's fifth, Alesi sixth, it's Brundle seventh and Leto in eighth. As Senna gets a good exit out of Lesmo too. On the run down towards Ascari for the first time. Hill's trying to hold the inside line. Is Senna going to be able to try and find a way past on the outside? He can't. And Prost looks like he's going to try and make a move on Berger into Ascari, and he can't do it. At over 200 miles an hour. This is sensational stuff. On the run down to the Parabolica. It's Senna's got the inside line. Is he going to take the lead? He does. So Senna goes through. Hill drops back into second place ahead of Gerhard, Berger. And Ayrton Senna, who started from pole position, has now reclaimed top spot from his Williams teammate. And Berger looks like he's going to try and make the move on Damon Hill. Scintillating first lap. Fantastic stuff. Senna's already 4/10 of a second up the road as they go towards the Curva Grande for the second time. Let's have a look at the start from Davis.
Yes, this will be interesting to see now. What sort of start could Joey Davis get from the penalty that he was serving from the back of the grid there? You can see he's very, very circumspect with the throttle application there. So he's already up past 4 or 5 drivers. And now it seems that he's trapped behind the 2 Jordans and the footwork of Suzuki. And there's not a lot that he can do about this. He's stuck right behind them. He just wants to be mindful, doesn't want to really get any damage in the Ferrari on the first lap here, where it's absolutely chaotic here. And of course, with no chicanes, it's absolutely flat out, and you can just see there that Davis almost, how on earth he didn't damage the front of the Ferrari, I have no idea. But that was extraordinarily dangerous there. Trying to go through on the inside into the Lesmo. He's just going to have to play it safe.
And that smoke, that's Davis slowing. So Joey Davis is slowing in the Ferrari. There's not a lot that he can do there.
And he's coming into the pit. So Davis with an apparent water leak there in the Ferrari. And I'm pretty sure that if they get that early enough, they will be able to repair the engine and get that sorted. But that's such a shame for him. And you can hear the Tifosi fans not very happy with that. But back on track, here's the other Ferrari of Gerhard Berger, desperately trying to find a way past Damon Hill.
Well, this is a sensational battle between these two because Senna is 1.5 seconds up the road ahead of Alain Prost. And that's Barrichello off. Barrichello with some sort of a mistake at the second Lesmos. The yellows are out and we can only hope that Barrichello is okay, but he is out of the race. Sensational development. And we're on board with the McLaren of Andretti in 17th. And there's absolutely no doubt that the power of that Chevrolet engine in there is appalling as Martini comes into the pits in the Minardi.
Yes, this is quite an interesting battle now throughout the midfield here. There's not just battles at the front, but you can see as Davis is out of the pits and he's back on track. So Davis into 23rd position, and you can bet your bottom dollar that he is going to be absolutely flat checked right the way until the end of the Grand Prix now. trying to close up the gap to the drivers in front of him. There's a hell of a lot of work to do for him, but on lap 10, I'm pretty sure that he can claw his way back into the points at least. As we watch Senna go through the Lesmos, with Prost now 2.4 seconds behind, and he's catching the Brazilian. He's catching Senna. And they're back on board with Corasa in 17, and he's battling. Who's he battling with? We can't see it at the moment. It's his teammate, it's Blundell. So the two Brabhams are scrapping over 16th place. And there's Zanardi. And that's a Ferrari going through. That's Berger. No, that's Davies. So Davies making his way past Alex Zanardi. So he's caught him quite quickly there inside 3 laps there. So Davies already up there. And that's Hill and Berger. So Hill and Berger continuing their battle once more. And they are dropping away from Alain Prost the more that they are battling with each other. The more time they are losing to the two in front of them. With Senna still in the lead by 2.9 seconds ahead of Prost. Fantastic! Yes, and it's quite interesting to see now that you have a look at 8th place and 9th place. The two Benettons there of Schumacher and Brundle. As we see Warwick going underneath one of the Tyrrells there. That's Satoru Nakajima. But the two Benettons of Schumacher and Brundle are already quite some distance behind the top 4. And that's just purely down to engine power from the Ford V8 engine. And what are we going to see up the front? Because Senna's lead is back out to 3.7 seconds. As we see the McLarens battling again with the Brabhams. And that's a sight that we're not used to seeing as Hill's just gone past Gerhard Berger again. Fantastic. And there's Nakajima. So Nakajima and Derek Warwick battling for position there. There's nothing doing there for the Japanese driver. He can't get past us. Davis is already on the back of the team that he owns. Corasa, who just lets his team boss through there. Joey Davis up into 17th position. So he's already making up good ground as we get the cars ready now, getting ready to come into the pits. And there's JJ Leto, so another sterling performance from Leto, who is up into 6th position. Well, I'm not sure what happened to Carl Wendlinger. We haven't seen it on the televisions because Wendlinger was up into 4th or 5th position at the start, and already he's dropped back into 9th place. Yes, we're understanding that Wendlinger had to actually come into the pit lane for a puncture. He had a puncture in the Sauber, and he's had to come into the pits, and he'd originally dropped down into 11th position, but already back up into 9th place and fighting well. And look at this! That's a battle of... That's Martini. Martini being lapped in the Minardi. An appalling race for them so far as Hakkinen goes through. And that's Berger. So Berger with a failure out the back of the Ferrari. Gerhard Berger is out of the Grand Prix. Sensation of Monza. Yes, Gerhard Berger pulling over there. That's going to be such a shame for the Austrian after a great race there. After his contract was renewed by Ferrari. And Corasa is out as well in the Brabham. It's dramatic stuff. Corasa is out in the Brabham. And there's another car slowing over there. That's Ligier. That's Prost. Prost is slowing. Prost is out of the Grand Prix from 2nd place. So Alain Prost is out. And Corasa is out. Fantastic stuff. Yes, no, that's Jean Alesi is out. So it's Alesi out. Prost is still circulating. So Jean Alesi is out. And I think that Senna's into the pits. Senna's into the pits. Fantastic stuff. So the race leader is in. And Alain Prost. And Derek Warwick is out of the Grand Prix. Yes, so this is the ideal opportunity now for Alain Prost to really try and see if he can put in some quick lap times. He will be absolutely positive that he's looked after his tyres very well. And the gap, I'm pretty sure he's going to try and get that coming down. And that's one of the Saubers. That's Wendlinger. My goodness me. That was very fortunate he didn't go absolutely skywards and into the grandstands. I'm not sure what happened there, but he seemed to tag the back of one of those Minardi cars. And Wendlinger is out. Sensational. Well, that was quite a frightening looking crash there, I've got to say. That was down the main straight as JJ Leto, his teammate, comes into the pits. But my goodness, that could have been an awful accident. And there's been quite a lot of talk this weekend from the drivers. A lot of them very unhappy with the no chicanes layout here at Monza. Absolutely sensational lap speeds we are seeing as Schumacher comes into the pits. And Prost is still yet to come in. So Hill yet to come in as well. And Brundle is up into 3rd. Senna 34 seconds behind. And by my reckoning, I think that means that Ayrton Senna has most certainly got the lead lost now to Alain Prost. And Prost is into the pits. So Prost is in and Damon Hill comes into the pits. And that's a Tyrrell. That's Frentzen. So Frentzen is out on lap 30. Frentzen is out. And look at 7th place. That's Joey Davis there. So Prost is in the lead. Prost in the lead. And that's a car on fire. I think that's one of the losers. That's Eric Bernard. Bernard on fire, and he's holding up Senna out of the parabolica. That's going to be an absolute nightmare of a situation for the Brazilian, because Alain Prost has been able to extend his lead now over the Brazilian, and he's through and into the lead. And I'm pretty sure you're going to see his lead is out to about 1.5 to 2 seconds. And it's 1 second over Ayrton Senna. Drama at Monza as Hill manages to find his way past the LaRousse, which has got fire billowing out of the back. And that's Schumacher. Schumacher on one of the McLarens. So Schumacher's up into 5th position. It's Leto in 4th. It's Hill in 3rd. It's Senna in 2nd, and he's got Damon Hill for close company on the approach to Mascari. Hill's trying to find a way through, and he can't do it. Is he going to try it into the parabolica? And that's a McLaren. That's Andretti. And look in the bottom corner there. That was the Benetton going through. Oh, my goodness. That's Davis, and he only just avoided the McLaren there. But 2 cars out in the same proximity. McLaren and the Benetton of Schumacher. Drama at Monza. But look at this. Hill's managed to get his way past Senna for 2nd place. But Senna once more. He's trying to exert his authority over his teammate. And I think he's through. He's through. So the championship leader is back up ahead. But he's still behind Alain Prost, who's 2.7 seconds to the good. Can Prost hold on to win? It's another 20 laps to go. And that's Leto. So JJ Leto pulls over in the Sauber. Extraordinary stuff. So JJ Leto, both Saubers out. Their reliability has been quite appalling in 1993. It really has, and it's so unfortunate as Davis comes into the pits again. And I suspect that is sheerly just to change the tyres on the car because he wants to go for the fastest lap. There's a big enough gap to Martin Brundle in 5th position, and I'm pretty sure that Joey Davis is going to be setting some new lap records very shortly. But in 6th position, it's Mika Häkkinen with Suzuki in 7th, and it's Mark Blundell in 8th with Alio 9th and Johnny Herbert in 10th position. Fantastic racing here at Monza. And that's Davis going through on Mark Blundell. So Davis goes through, and already he is up well, and he's already broken the lap record. Fantastic stuff from the Briton. And Senna behind Martini. Senna's, oh my goodness, Senna! He's airborne, and he slams into the barriers. And my goodness, what an awful looking accident that was. And we can only hope that the medics are on the scene very soon to attend to Senna, because that is a quite appalling crash. Yes, that is most unfortunate there. And the red flag is out. The race has been stopped by the Formula One race director, and rightfully so, because that looked like an awful accident to Ayrton Senna. And we can only hope that he is going to be well looked after. And let's have a look at the replay here. And you can just see that Senna just clipped the left rear of Martinez Minardi there, and there was nothing that he seemed to be able to do there. The car was just elevated into the air and straight into the barrier. An absolutely sickening accident there for Ayrton Senna. I'm not sure what actually happened there. We're on board in the Williams, and my goodness, the impact. What an impact that is. It's incredible. Even in today's world of Formula One, the car safety is quite extraordinary. But look at the... Well, it seemed to me that Martini seemed to come off the gas there to try and let Senna through, and there was not a lot that he could do. And let's have a look at it from the inside of Damon Hill's car. And we can only hope that Senna will be very well looked after by Professor Sid Watkins. Soon enough, and led by F1's doctor, Professor Sid Watkins, the medics were quickly on the scene to tend to the injured Senna, who was initially responsive to the trackside efforts before being helicoptered away to hospital for further treatment, whilst the paddock and the world waited with bated breath for news on his condition. The crash ultimately saw the race stopped after the 48th lap, and so it was the Brazilian was classified second ahead of Williams' teammate Hill in third, whilst Prost took his third win of the year on the one-lap countback, with Davis completing a fine recovery drive to fourth, ahead of Brundle and Häkkinen in sixth. Unsurprisingly, there were muted celebrations on the podium, with winner Prost declaring the win felt hollow before he slammed the FIA for allowing the race to proceed. Having witnessed Senna's crash right in front of him, Hill admitted the incident had left him stunned, whilst Davis offered his thoughts and prayers for his good friend Senna before he too then joined Prost in criticising the sport's rule makers too. Reports then emerged from the hospital that Senna had suffered injuries to his legs and ribs and had been placed into an induced coma, before Max Mosley and Bernie Ecclestone tried to defend the decision to run the race without chicanes, which fell on deaf ears in the paddock. In the drivers' standings, Senna remains top, 13 points clear of Davis and Hill,
and Prost's win sees him move within 22 points of the Brazilian. In the constructors' standings, Williams are crowned champions as Ligier Prost moved within 3 points of Ferrari in second, with Bennett on a distant fourth, ahead of McLaren, Sauber, Jordan, Lotus and Minardi. This has undoubtedly been a difficult weekend for Formula One, and with the ramifications of Senna's race-ending crash no doubt set to dominate the headlines over the coming weeks before the next round at Watkins Glen and the American Grand Prix. But that's all to come, because right now our thoughts and prayers go out to the family and friends of championship leader Ayrton Senna.